Folks are all coming down for breakfast this morning. We're going to be leaving early for the Mount of Transfiguration. Morning.
Good morning.
Guess what Mary did at least twice every single day of her whole life? The men do not carry water. Men do not do that here. Men have much more important things to do. They sit around and smoke and talk. The women do all the work. And it's still pretty much that way today. But the women got up in the morning first thing and they went to the well to get the water. From Mary's cave to the well is about a 15-minute walk. So every morning, she got up in the morning, we'll talk about it when we're there more, and she put a jug on her head, and little Jesus tagging along behind her. Mommy, Mommy, wait for me. She went off to the well to get water. So this is, when you look at this is more what Mary looked like than what you see in your churches with all the statues. I understand why we have those pretty pictures, because we're emphasizing the inner qualities of Mary, but this is what Mary really looked like.
I would say they had to stay out of the Holy Land for a good 4 years before they recollected themselves, came back, and I'm sorry to say that their coming back wasn't anything impressive anymore, and for them to come into the Holy Land.
We're arriving at Mount Tabor, the place of the Transfiguration. We're going to have Mass in that church up on top. Here you see the sign, Mount Tabor, and we arrive at the bus station here where we're going to have to transfer and get into the taxis to go up the mountain. We're going up Mount Tabor. Get down there.
How far are we seeing? Is this 30 miles across that valley?
Oh, probably.
So you can see all the way across.
It's Jezreel Valley.
Oh, yeah. They're all nice. Yeah.
We have farms in Michigan.
It's very country.
We've arrived at the top of the Mount of Transfiguration. This is the Church of Transfiguration and all the things you can't do. So we're going to go in here for Mass. It's a beautiful church. It's all about light, referring to the Transfiguration.
Celebrate these sacred mysteries in this most sacred of places. Let us call to mind that we are sinners in need of a Savior and ask the Lord for pardon and for strength. You were sin healed and contrite of heart, Lord have mercy. You came to call sinners.
Smaller monk chapel next door, and this was all part of the big Benedictine monastery that existed here. You know, when we came to advance that big arch further down, that marks actually the property of the monastery, from there all the way up here. And the church lasted, the monastery lasted. It is told that only in the year 1212, that's
Looking out over the Jezreel Valley, these are the mountains of Gilboa. Beautiful view from Tabor.
expecting a guest, you make your home look nice. We started, doing some work in preparation for the visit of Pope John Paul. And that's when we uncovered actually the church underneath from the 4th century. And we uncovered a mosaic fragment that says who donated the mosaic floor to the church back then.
Leader of this group along with Amer. And we're walking up to Cana right now, and here's all the folks. Now everybody back home can see they're safe and having a good time. You don't have to worry about them.
Hello. Hello.
We're doing.
And there come the last few. Knows he's going to have a new name. Your name will be Kepha. John, knowing you don't know what that means, puts in parentheses, which means rock. Now, where do you find Peter at the end of the story? Well, he's in there a lot, but at the very end you find Peter also talking about his primacy, his being in charge, because Jesus says, feed my sheep and tend my lamb. You're the shepherd now. So you got the beginning and the end. Also, the whole book of John starts with, John says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and then he makes this audacious statement. And the Word was God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. God became flesh? Are you kidding? I assume you're going to try and prove that, right? And John says, yes, that's what my whole gospel's for. I'm going to prove it. This is my thesis. Now I'm going to prove it. And so where do we find Jesus again referred to as God? At the very end. By who? The skeptic. It's really cool if John says, now I proved it, 21 chapters, I proved that Jesus is God. I've shown you 7 miracles, but John never uses the word miracle in his gospel, never. Matthew, Mark, and Luke use miracle, miracle, miracle everywhere. John does not use the word, he uses the word sign. This is where he did his first sign. What does a sign do? It points you to something. What do the signs point to? The divinity of this guy who looks like a man, but he's really God. So John says, I'm going to prove to you that he is God. Does 7 signs. 7 is the perfect number, the number of God. Already there, even in the number of miracles that are done, it shows you the divinity of Christ. And then at the end, he doesn't tell you that he's proved his point. He lets the skeptic, the atheist, the agnostic, the doubter say it. Jesus walks in the room. Thomas puts his finger in his hand, and he falls on his knees and he says, my Lord and my God. Did John prove his point? Even the skeptic says yes.
Take your left hand and put it underneath that hand. There you go. That, because you're the strong support of this relationship. Now, wives, take your hand, your left hand, and put it on top, because you're like the tender mercy upon this relationship. Okay, that's so beautiful and good. All right. And so now, husbands, please repeat after me. I renew and reaffirm my wedding vows to you. Once again, I promise to love you and honor you. In good times and in bad. In sickness and in health. For better or for worse. All the days of my life. Vows to you. Once again, I promise to love and honor you. In good times and in bad. In sickness and in health. For better or for worse. All the days of my life. What God has joined together, let no one separate. And now we're going to read. And I come around and get all of it. Please be seated for just a moment.
You may now kiss the bride, by the way.
Oh, yes, please. That's good. I like that. That's good.
Go down into 1st century Cana. This is actually the ground level at the time of Mary and Jesus.
To say that you're standing on the original level. You know, in archaeology, the deeper you go, the back in history you go. So this is 2,000 years back where you are. And when the Christians wanted to build the very first church around 350, they came to this spot and they wanted to preserve what was here. And they made this the crypt of that very first church. That very first church starts, as you can see, where these stones are.
bus. We just got off downtown Nazareth here, and we just came into this restaurant where we bring our groups. Nice place, Christian family. This is not a tourist trap. This is a family restaurant. We fill the whole place. Just always remember, a diplomat is a man who remembers a woman's birthday, but not her age. It's got all kinds of these wise sayings. And here we're all settling in. That's the date juice made from dates.
That's great.
Enjoy. On our way up to the Church of Nazareth, walking through the streets of Nazareth. Very cool. And by the way, there's the church right there. That's where we're headed, the Church of Annunciation, where the angel said to Mary, "Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with you." As a young girl, and the angel came when she was around 14 or 15 and said, "Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with you." And I'll show you a picture of the altar, and the words on it are, "The Word became flesh here." This is the place where that happened, and we're now praying the first joyful mystery. Father, being of the prayer of the mystery, saying the mystery right where those words originated, right there in that cave.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Hail Mary.
This altar marks the spot where the angel met Mary, and on it says, "The Word became flesh here." And then we step aside and we see this beautiful statue of Our Lady of Nazareth. Now at the end of the church. This is 1st century Nazareth. This is where Jesus walked on these streets. Look at the caves where people lived. 25 caves they've discovered in this area. I always look forward to giving my talk here called A Day in the Life of the Holy Family at the very place where the Holy Family lived those silent 30 years. It's very eye-opening for people to understand how they really lived. Here we are in the grotto of the church right above the cave where the Holy Family lived. This is a new painting. I just love it, of Jesus pointing to Mary and said, "This is Mom." And says that this is where Jesus submitted to his parents here in Nazareth. We're all walking back through Nazareth to our bus.
Interrupted me and said, "Why don't you offer to raise up a priest for me?" Now the Lord knows I, number one, hate being pregnant. Number two, Charlotte and I almost died in childbirth, so I was a high-risk pregnancy. And I had one children with the support of my doctor.
Here we are arriving back in Tiberias, see the Sea of Galilee, and a lot of people went swimming in the pool and in the lake, and some were reading their Bible and having a glass of wine on the patio. It was a great day, and we had a great dinner, and everybody got to bed for another exciting day tomorrow. Join us.